Hello, I'm Jeff Rouse, and I'm here at Our Story Studios. And look who stopped by to see me, Dan from Dan's Appliance.
Hi, Jeff.
How you doing? I'm so glad you stopped by.
Well, I'm really happy to stop by. I haven't seen your place before.
Well, I'm glad you stopped in. It's set up for shows, and that's where we shoot, right over there.
Yeah, great.
Speaking of which...
Maybe you could invite me over, huh?
I was just going to say, why don't you come on, and we will talk about Dan's Appliance.
That'd be
awesome.
We talked about Dan's Appliance.
Well, we just got done shooting an episode not too long ago. Would you like to see it right now?
Well, let's check it out.
All right. Joining me today is Blake. Blake, welcome as my co-host.
Thank you.
Glad to have you. Blake, of course, I know, but share with the folks who you are and what you do.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks for having me, first of all. Sure. My name is Blake Potthoff. I'm the executive director at the lovely Fairmont Opera House here in Fairmont, Minnesota. And I've been here as executive director for just shy of 2 years now already.
2 years already? Yeah. That doesn't seem possible. Congratulations.
No, yeah, thank you very much. It went really quick.
No doubt. Well, a lot is happening, so I'm sure it keeps you busy.
That's true, yeah. Always things going on at the Opera House.
So before we get started on some different things we're going to cover, tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
Great, yeah. So I grew up in Martin County. I graduated from Martin County West High School in Sherburne, Minnesota in 2010. And then after that time, I went to Luther College in Decorah, Iowa, where I met my wife. And then after graduation, we moved home. And actually, I live on my grandparents' farm outside of Fairmont. And growing up, I was always involved in the arts and in music, and I started playing piano when I was 4 years old. So I've been playing, well, I'm date myself, I'm 27.
Wow.
So I've been playing for 22, 23 years. I taught myself guitar, and at Luther I got my degree in vocal music performance, so I'm a trained opera singer.
Really?
Yeah. So it kind of works with the Opera House and opera singer, you know. So that's kind of my musical history, and then I also have done Civic Summer Theater here in Fairmont for this next year will be my 14th year. So that's kind of my background and history in that. And you know, I have a great support system. I already mentioned my wife. My parents, Neil and Dawn, grew up outside of Donnell with my parents, and I have 3 younger brothers as well, who are a few years younger than me, you know, and grew up on the farm and learned the farm values, and that was really the goal when I went to college, is to come back and just have some fun for 4 years and come back and then farm with my brothers, and then I got my degree in music, and then the Opera House happened. So, and here we are.
Well, that's pretty cool, and the fact that you're from here, and not only have a lot of rich history with the community, but you have a lot of rich history with the Opera House.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Several times.
So did you, when you were performing and doing different things and going to different things at the Opera House, did you foresee this in your future?
I don't think I ever foresaw it. In fact, I remember the first time I was at the Opera House. I was in 3rd grade. It was May 2001. And right? We're being exact. Well, it's one of those memories, and I'll talk about memories a little bit, you know, later. But for me, it was a memory that's really stuck with me. May 2001, I was sitting next to my 2 best friends, still my best friends today, and we saw Lyle Crocodile, and Michael Burgraff came on stage, and he said, "Here, welcome to your show. Sure. We're here for the school performance." And Mayor Quiring came out. He said, "We declare today Lyle Crocodile Day." I remember I sat in the first row of the balcony in the 2nd seat. And I remember the show, I remember everything that went on.
That is so cool.
And it was just something that was ingrained in me. So I wanted to be more involved and do more theater and be involved in the community. And it really became something that was a turning point in my life. And when I look back on that, at that time, had no idea. No intention of coming back and running the Opera House. In fact, when I came back from college, the position opened when my predecessor had applied. And my wife saw it and she said, "You should apply." I said, "Nah, it's not really my thing." Sure. And then it just so happened that I became friends with him, started working as stage manager at the Opera House. I was Jonas Nissen.
Okay.
Was my predecessor. And I worked for him as stage manager. And then when he resigned, then I took over as executive director. So things just kind of worked out like they were supposed to.
What a great story. Well, and the Opera House, as you know very well, has tremendous history and part of our community that's incredible, not very unique to our area.
Right.
You know, there's very few buildings like that, let alone what all happens in that building. So
right, and there's very few in our community, but there's also none in the state like it. The Fairmont Opera House just celebrated its 117th year. We officially opened on October 17th, 1901. So 117 years old this year in 2018. That's the oldest operating theater in the state of Minnesota. So we have, yeah, we have that claim to fame to say that we're the oldest operating theater in the state of Minnesota, and it's right here in Fairmont. So we're very, very privileged to have that here in our community.
That is absolutely incredible. And again, like I say, the history is so incredible. And we have a couple clips and stories we're going to show from the past. And the first one we're going to show, Al Travis. Have you met Al Travis yet?
I have not.
Oh,
no.
Yeah, you'll love Al Travis. Al Travis did a story about the Opera House in 1994 for Focus on Fairmont.
Great.
And it's very informative, talking about how it all began and different things. I think the people will enjoy it. Yeah. Should we show it to them right now?
Absolutely. Let's see it.
Let's go.
Let's start by heading down to the Fairmont Opera House and joining Al Travis.
The Fairmont Opera House. It's more than just an old building. It's a city landmark, a tourist attraction. It's a place that the people of Fairmont can point to with pride. It's a place with memories. A grand old lady just entering the prime of her life. Built in 1901 as a community center, she has watched the Fairmont area change with the times. And as Fairmont has changed, so has she. In the heyday of vaudeville and silent movies, she was known as the Haynick, and her house would often be packed. School graduations, city band concerts, and well-known entertainers performed on her stage. Then as the Roaring Twenties came to an end, big changes took place. She was renamed and remodeled, and with the coming of talkie movies in 1929, she changed her focus. For the next 50 years, she was mainly a movie theater. Many people remember the long movie lines in the 50s, but many people also remember the 70s, when the roof was leaking and the crowds were scarce. Her age was showing. However, there were too many people who remembered her beauty, her historic importance. They couldn't let her die. So, in 1981, they started major surgery. They gave her back her original name and began the process of raising funds to keep her alive. As the money came in, the work progressed. It became a labor of love, a community project dependent on volunteers. And now, 14 years later, thanks to dedicated volunteers, she's alive and well, and never looked or sounded better. Recently, after many hours of research and many miles of searching, a 7-foot Steinway grand piano was acquired. This magnificent instrument will help the Opera House's program committee book regional and national attractions not previously available to the Opera House, because many excellent, highly talented artists will not perform with an ordinary piano. The beautiful instrument now sitting on the Opera House's stage meets all requirements. Board member Deanne Helfritz describes its sound.
The piano is absolutely beautiful in its sound. The clarity of it, especially when you walk upstairs, is just phenomenal. Even sitting under the underhang that we have in the auditorium here, which is a place where things can get muddied, it's still clear at that point. And when you get farther and farther away, with many pianos, what happens is the sound gets muddier and muddier. With this piano, it is absolutely clear. The clarity of it is just beautiful. The sound is gorgeous.
The plan is to use this grand piano as often as possible for local events, piano and voice recitals, concerts, tour entertainment. Imagine sitting in one of these comfortable Opera House chairs and listening to your child play that piano. Another one of the great improvements at the Opera House is the sound system. Thanks to the continued efforts of Bruce Abbotts and other volunteers, the Opera House now has a sound system that equals or surpasses sound systems throughout the country.
The difference between what we had and what we have now, hopefully, will be more of a theater sound, so we can reproduce what is actually happening on stage up and over what the audience has heard in the past. So what we're trying to do is, and probably a lot of people that attend the Opera House have gone to different theaters and heard surround sound, that's going to be our final objective to be able to reach.
Surround sound means that speakers are placed not only in the front of the theater, but in several areas, making hearing in the middle and rear as clear as it is in the front. In certain dramatic scenes, the listeners will feel as if they're on stage with the actors. The new sound system has been a big project, but once you hear it, you'll agree that it was well worth the effort. No longer will you have to strain to catch what's said on stage. Now the big question: how does the Opera House pay for all these improvements? The answer? Through box office revenues, grants, memberships, generous donations, and through the annual fundraiser, which happens to be coming up April 22nd. Organizers have planned a fun, informal dinner dance at the American Legion.
Okay, this great event will begin at 6 p.m. and will feature a social hour with birthday music piped in, birthday party games, prizes, and it will carry on into the evening with a great dinner featuring turkey tenderloin, birthday cupcakes, and then we'll have a tour show featuring our Opera House tour personnel, a lot of good local talent, and we'll wrap the evening up dancing the night away to Johnny Green and the Green Men.
I've worked with Johnny Green's band. They're great. And if you haven't caught the Opera House's tour entertainment, you really are missing something. The Opera House is becoming one of southern Minnesota's top tourism attractions. Buses pull in here to meet entertainers who bring them back to the good old days. I mean, people are enthralled with the story of how volunteers have saved this historic building. So don't miss April 22nd's fundraiser. We're going to have a great time. It's for everybody. Come on out and join us and take a look at what's going to happen to this fine building. Maybe you'll see the future like President Scott Unke sees it.
I envision it to be completed. I envision the exterior of the building to be something that when people drive through town, they literally pull their car over because they can't believe that building that sits there. I envision it being used by the vast majority of the people will come in and out of it at some time during the year. I envision it being used by all the businesses in town. I envision it being used for entertainment. I envision it having entertainment things from all over the country coming through here that would never come here except for the impressive place that they could stand on stage and play in.
This is Al Travis with another Focus on Fairmont from the Fairmont Opera House.
That was great.
Yeah, that was fantastic. You know, I have to put it on my list to carve time out to meet Al, because that was amazing.
Absolutely, did a good job.
Yeah, it was excellent.
Way back in '94.
Yeah, way back.
Were you even, how old were you in '94?
3. 3 years old, yeah.
I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. So the Opera House, now, I know they have the subscription series, but other than the subscription series, share with the folks what else happens with the Opera House throughout the year.
Yeah, so the subscription series is a big point. We have the subscription series that runs September through May every year. We also have an a la carte selection. So with the subscription series, you can purchase any ticket to any show, whether you're a member or a subscriber, at any time. So you can buy individual tickets. The a la carte shows are the same principle. You can buy those tickets at any time to any one of those shows. So we have that availability as well.
So to go back to that, if someone doesn't hasn't purchased a subscription, they can still go to an individual show.
Absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
That's, So if they have one that really stands out, that say, oh my gosh, I really want to go to that, and I haven't purchased my subscription yet, they can attend that event.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. At any time, you can buy any of the tickets to the shows that we have going on at the Opera House. So if you see something that you might like to see, you don't have to have a subscription to come in and see the shows at the Opera House. You can come in at any time and purchase a single show or 2 shows or at any time during the year. So we have that a la carte offering. Also, this year we did the first time we did a summer concert series. So we had 5 concerts throughout the summer in 2018. And we want to have something that's available for the community throughout the entire year. We've done great historically with the subscription series, which, like I said, runs September through May. But there's people still around in the summer months, and they want something to do. And they're out on the lake all day and having fun with their friends and want to see a concert or do something. And oftentimes they go to different communities. You might go to Okoboji or the Twin Cities or Sioux Falls, and we want to make sure we keep the people here. We want to make sure we're reaching out to the community and give them the things that they want. So we really focus on trying to do that. And in addition, during the summer, we have several things going on. We have children's theater going on. We just added a kindergarten through 2nd grade children's theater. So we get the little tykes in, get run around on stage. We also have the 3rd through 8th children's theater. So we have 3rd through 5th as one section, and we have 6th through 8th as another section. The 6th through 8th graders have been doing a musical the last couple of years. Very, very talented young kids in this area. It's amazing to watch them work.
You might be seeing one of your predecessors coming.
Yeah.
One of those little people.
Yeah, there might be somebody. Something like me. Yeah, something to see the show and be involved. Who knows where it could take them? It could be here at the Opera House.
In about 40 years.
Yeah, 40. Yeah, after I retire, right? But it could be here at the Opera House. It could be up in the Twin Cities. It could be Broadway. They could tour internationally. We never know what the potential is of the kids that we get to work with. So it's fantastic to work with them. And recently, too, is Civic Summer Theater that I've been involved in for 14 years. We just partnered with them to bring them under the umbrella of the Opera House. So it was a bit of a misnomer for a while. People thought that CST and the Opera House were one and the same. But really, Civic Summer Theater existed on its own for 52 years. And so now we've become partners, and so we work together, and so we'll have Civic Summer Theater going on every year. We're actually intending on adding more shows for Civic Summer Theater throughout the entire year. So we have a huge, large amount of things going on throughout the entire year, including some rentals as well.
Yeah, I've attended some rentals there. They're a very wonderful place to hold them. I mean, it turns into an incredible thing from anything from dance, like Tammy's Dance Studio.
Correct.
She does her shows there, and it's very entertaining.
Yeah, we've had the dance recitals there for years. Options Pregnancy Center, 12 Baskets. They have a rental there. They have a comedian in the last few years. And also the local high schools, Martin Luther High School in Northrop and Grenada Huntley East Chain. They both come in and they do their performances on the Opera House stage. So they get to use the professional sound and the lights and the stage and get to put on their high school performance. So, and that's just scratching the surface. I mean, we have speakers come in that businesses want to provide, and they have conferences at the Opera House. So we just have a space that people can use and can be accessible to anybody at any time. We want you to be in the building because it's your building. It wouldn't be around if it weren't for the community of Fairmont and the surrounding area. It wouldn't be around for the people in this town if there weren't people who used it before. So we want to make sure that we have everybody available to come in at any time to use the facility. I mean, we have 26 events this year, which means we have 340 days where we don't do something. So those 340 days we need to fill with something. Why not come out and have a birthday party or a game night or watch a movie?
And what an atmosphere to hold it.
Absolutely.
Just wonderful. So we're going to learn a little bit more about the Opera House. We have a clip, that actual segment from Hometown Focus that was done in 2004 with Michael Burgraff, who you remember from your childhood.
Yes.
And did a really good job and is a really good speaker too. And he spoke with Lenny about the Opera House and a little more history and some in depth. What was happening in 2004?
Great.
So let's take a look at that.
All right.
When we look back over our past 300 shows, a staple that has made numerous appearances throughout the years is the Fairmont Opera House. Today, Len Tvedten visits with Michael Burgraff to hear some history as well as present-day happenings in this week's History Moment.
This is Lenny Tvedten of the Martin County Historical Society, and today we're going to have the pleasure of talking to Michael Burgraff, and he's going to give us a little background on the Fairmont Opera House. First of all, Michael, I'd like to compliment you on the excellent job you and everybody involved with the Opera House is doing.
Thank you very much.
I think you faced some challenges in the past year and met them and really done a really good job. So, okay, we'd like to talk a little bit about the history of the Opera House. When I first came to Fairmont, it was the Nicholas Theater. And let's go back to its inception and tell us a little bit about how it began, how it got started.
Certainly. Back in the late 1800s, well documented in the local newspaper, basically how the Opera House came to be is because Fairmont didn't have a proper place for entertainments. As a destination stop for people, travelers all across the world to come here to Fairmont for the lakes, for the boat, for the Concord, Fairmont didn't feel that it had a place to show off with entertainment. And so a number of folk got together and they decided to create and make the Fairmont Opera House. 72 founding fathers here in Fairmont bought shares of stock at $50 a share, and they raised $26,000 to build this unique structure as a standalone opera house. The phrase opera house itself doesn't mean that we even did a lot of operas. It was the name given to theaters back at the turn of the century because they thought theater or vaudeville house was too lowbrow. So there weren't a lot of operas done at this facility, but it was called Opera House in conjunction with the times. $26,000. Construction started in 1901. This facility was completed in about a year's time. The first large performance that happened at the Fairmont Opera House was in February of '02. It was a show called The Chaperones. It came down out of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and it had 100 people that came by rail to Fairmont to put this production on. Tickets for that production were $5 a piece, which was huge back then, and it sold out in a matter of 4 hours.
Was that mostly local people that bought those tickets?
It was almost entirely local people. We still run the newspaper article today, Fairmont's duties. Everybody who is involved should buy a ticket. Everybody who is a laborer or a school teacher should buy a ticket. And they really did come out and do exactly that. Yes, very much so. Kind of the interesting thing about that, as we still handle it today, the review for that show the chaperones read the next day in the Fairmont newspaper. While they were sure it was fine for Minneapolis-St. Paul, it was probably just a little risque for Fairmont.
Okay.
It stayed the Fairmont Opera House with the shareholders until 1911, when, again, well documented in the newspapers, there were some rifts between the shareholders. At that point in time, they had invested their money, and they had not seen any return on their stock. Mr. Hay and Mr. Nicholas stood up in a well-documented, almost fisticuffs type of things, and said, you know, we're tired of the bickering. We will buy you all out, dollar for dollar, which is more than the stock is worth right now. Continue to run it as a community piece, but it will be under private ownership. And in 1911, they all said yes, and it became the Haynick Theater, Mr. Hay and Mr. Nicholas.
You know, I think I've seen some information about that time, and Mr. Ward, who was quite prominent at the time, was against this for some reason. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Mr. Ward wanted his money. He really wanted to see some return on his stock, and when they finally stood and called him on this, he backed down. And he backed down quickly and was outvoted basically by the rest of the stock members, and he wanted to see it continue as a community piece, but he wanted his money also. Okay. And with that, he took his money and kind of ran.
All right. Okay, the Haynick Theater, how long did that last as the Haynick Theater?
Stayed the Haynick Theater until late in 1926. Mr. Hay died suddenly of a heart attack in December, and the contract between Mr. Hay and Mr. Nicholas read that Mr. Nicholas had first shot at the remaining stock, or that stake in the Opera House. Mr. Nicholas at that time, who was really kind of a go-getter, said, I will buy the remainder part of the stock, and in 1927 it became the Nicholas Theater, and remained the Nicholas Theater until chains were put on the doors in 1980.
Okay, when I first came to Fairmont, I knew Charlie Nicholas. Could you give us a little information about, you know, how was he related to, I believe, W.L. Nicholas, who was one of the founding fathers of the Opera House?
W.L. Nicholas is the Nicholas Theater, and from W.L. he had a son named Herb, and Herb went out to the East Coast, married his art teacher, and brought her back here during the Depression. Her name was Tommy, and she was a real bohemian, and a lot of folk in town remember Tommy, and those who don't remember Tommy necessarily certainly remember, if they were at the Opera House, her paintings on the side walls of the Opera House. Charlie was Tommy and Herb's son. So it was a grandson to W.L. Yes.
I've also read some information about the Nicholas Theater becoming one of the first buildings probably in the area to become air-conditioned. I think they called it refrigeration. What do you have as far as information about that?
Well, if you take a look at the old pictures, you'll see that in front of the Opera House there are beautiful big glass windows. It has a balcony. There are marble pillars. When Mr. Nicholas took it over, he was a real movie buff. As a matter of fact, we had one of the first showings of Al Jolson's Jazz Singer here in Fairmont. He had gone out to New York to see movies and thought the talkies were going to do it. With that, the refrigeration unit was downstairs, and they had huge, it was a big water wheel, and cold air would go across the top of this thing, and then the cold air would waft up through these huge ducts. Well, the ducts happened to go in front of the windows. Mr. Nicholas thought it was ugly, and bricked up the windows at that point in time, as well as putting the large marquee on the front of the building, and he cut off the wraparound horseshoe balcony to make it look as it does today. And that people still have come down to tell me that they remember the refrigeration. And they said it would lower the temperature in the Nicholas Theater 2 to 3 degrees as to what it was outside, but it was always 100% humidity.
Interesting. At one time, when did they start showing movies, or talkies as they called them at that time? Probably silent movies too. I don't know. Did they show silent movies in the Nicholas Theater in the early years, or what?
They did.
What was the history of that?
They did show silent movies. We have a real history of silent movies at the Opera House. And Mr. Nicholas, again, being in the forefront, a lot of times you have a theater organ that would play against the silent movies. Mr. Nicholas didn't think that was enough for Fairmont, so he would hire an orchestra to come in and augment the theater organ, which was really unusual. We found in our archives this little souvenir gift of a frame of a movie, And you can tell because it has the two sprockets on the side, that is a silent movie. There is no soundtrack. Sure. Mr. Nicholas did, like I had said, go to New York. He thought talkies were really the wave of the future, and purchased one of the first talking movie projectors for this area here in Fairmont.
Okay. You talked about when the chains were put on the doors in 1980. What happened during that time? There may be a number of people that are familiar with how the Opera House was really saved and renovated and brought to the point where it is right now.
Really, in its darkest day, when it would rain outside, it would literally rain inside. There were bats that would fly around in front of the movie screen. It was in dismal shape. Holes were worn in the carpets. The seats were falling apart. And the owners at the time said, enough is enough. We've sold everything we can out of the place, and we're going to take the rest and run. And they said, here, City of Fairmont, it's all yours, good luck. They put chains on the doors. It was literally 10 days away from being a parking lot when, as the story goes, Mr. Arneson and one of his sons were driving by, and the son said, Dad, what are they going to do to the Opera House? And he said, well, they're going to tear it down. He said, Dad, if you let them do that, they can tear down all of Fairmont. And that's really what sparked the renovation, the current renovation. The Citizens Group is once again owned by the community. To become a member of the Opera House, it's just $35 and up on an annual basis, and you have voting rights. You are the owner of that wonderful facility.
Where do you see things going from this point with the Opera House, as far as where it's at? What kinds of shows do you look forward to in the future? What kind of growth do you anticipate?
We continue to see our subscription series. Our mission is to provide arts and entertainment for this region and to be kind of the leader in that. And we see ourselves continuing in that role. We would like to expand to additional children's events. We would like to, we are adding a poetry night at the Opera House. We have an art gallery that we are working on. We would like to be that arts cultural center for Fairmont and the surrounding area. And see ourselves continuing upon that train.
Okay. In closing, since you've been here, what's the one most interesting thing that you've encountered?
Probably the day that I had the engineer from Minneapolis call on his cell phone and say, I don't have a clue what's holding up the building. You need to get out now. That's something that's never happened in my career before, and I hope never happens again.
That was probably a dark day, similar to the 1980 dark day that you talked about.
It truly was. We didn't know if we could save it at that point in time.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Michael. Appreciate it. And the best of luck to you and the Opera House in the future.
Thank you, Lenny. You too.
Thank you. This is Lenny Tvedten for Hometown Focus.
Great interview.
Another excellent interview.
Excellent.
Very
Lenny,
informational, by the way.
Wasn't it?
Very good.
And Michael did a good job, as he did, as you know.
Yeah.
And, of course, Lenny always does a good job.
Always
at the museum. Awesome. Yeah. So now the subscription series.
Yeah.
Share with the folks what they can expect to see for the rest of this season, as well as what's happened throughout this year.
Great. Yeah, so the next one we have coming up, we have Continental Ballet. So we have classical ballet on stage at the Opera House, which hasn't happened in a long time, if ever, So we've got dance. We have a tap show coming up. We also have a New Year's Eve party. New Year's Eve, we'll have a craft beer tasting event during the day.
How fun.
And then two bands, actually. Mad Company, a tribute to Bad Company. And Transit Authority is going to return to the Opera House stage.
What's the name of the band?
Mad Company.
And they're a tribute band for?
Bad Company.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so they're going to be on stage. That'll be a lot of fun. And then Transit Authority will be coming back to the Opera House stage as well. So a tribute to Chicago. So we have that going on, and then you get into the first part of the year, into January and February. We have a world-class pianist who's coming in to play and perform on our stage. We have an a cappella group from Brazil. We get into February. We have a group called Danger Committee. They juggle tasers and throw knives at each other.
Really?
It's just a really kind of off-the-wall
That should be fun.
variety show. Yeah, I'd really like to make sure that we have enough Band-Aids and things like that around, because it looks very dangerous, but it makes your palms sweat, and you just really enjoy it. And these guys are world-class. They've been on America's Got Talent, and they just throw knives at each other for a lot of fun. So that should be a really good one. And then throughout the rest of the year, we have everything ranging from an Irish band coming in right around St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, and then we have the end of the season in May. We have Voice Play coming in, and they're a internationally touring a cappella group. If you've heard of Home Free, from Mankato. They were on the same show as Home Free, the Sing-Off on NBC, and they took third the year that Home Free was on there. So that's the kind of quality of show that we'll be bringing in to end our season. And all of this stuff is always listed on our website. I was going to
say, you can find this on your website. You have a Facebook page, everything like that. So the viewers can check at that for anything coming up for individual shows or for the rest of the season.
That's right.
And going forward.
That's exactly right. Yeah, our website, fairmontoperahouse.org, or our Facebook page, just search Fairmont Opera House.
Absolutely. Well, that sounds awesome. Now, I want to show the folks one more thing. Now, this is something a little bit different. If you've seen the show that I work with, and Shelley and I and our team, we add a little humor to what we do.
Got to do that.
This particular segment, Mike Foster is saying goodbye to Michael Burgraff when he left in, I think it was 2007 or 8,
right about there.
In that park. And excuse the personal story, but I asked Mike Foster, God love him, he was so awesome as far as humor. And I said, I would like you to say a tearful goodbye to Michael Burgraff. And he says, okay. And I says, we got to add, a little bit of humor to this. And maybe he's not really gone yet. And I made this whole synopsis. Well, with Mike Foster, when you gave him an idea, you can see the light bulbs clicking. And between him and Mike Foster, I thought it was pretty funny. So why don't we show the folks and see what they think.
I'm excited.
This is Mike Foster with Almost Breaking News, and I'm a little sad because I'm here at the Opera House today, and Mike Burgraff is gone, and we're going to miss him in town here. And we enjoyed everything he did for the whole town and for the Opera House, and he made it what it was. But he's left now, and he's gone to like the Black Hills someplace, and I don't know when we're ever going to see him again. And am I in your way, Mister?
Well, I'm.
It's Mike Burgraff. You're still here.
I'm not.
But apparently not for long.
Hi.
Hey, great to see you.
Nice to see you.
I told you were leaving though, and you're gone.
I am leaving, but I'm not gone. The rumors of my departure are far whatever the Truman thing said.
Whatever Truman said,
yes. So I am still here.
Oh, that's great.
On and off for a little while. What are you doing here?
Well, I'm telling everybody that you were leaving, and I was going to get a hold of you and talk about some of the things that have happened in the past while you've been here. Do you have any memories you want to share with us?
11 years worth. How long do we have?
11 years.
Okay. I was born. No,
this guy was 2.
This has been an absolutely fantastic ride, and that's the best way to say it. 11 years at Fairmont Opera House has been thrilling, exciting. The town has been wonderful. Memories. I was just downstairs packing up, and on came Natalie McMaster on my CD player. I've got it on random, and that's one of those great memories, that first big star that we had here where we paid a fee, and the next year her fee quadrupled because she got national fame. We've had so many of those happen here. We've had Anthony Zerbe, Roscoe Lee Brown, America, Ricky Skaggs, Leo Kodke, Arlo Guthrie twice. I mean, just those are the big names, but it's those not so big names that have been the real fun ones. We have just had Pavlo back, and what a gentleman he is. I've met some incredible people here, not only on stage, but in town too. How many years of glows have we done together and had so much fun? And that's been great. The ex-mayor Chuck stopped by and told me I couldn't go, and I said he'd have to talk to the new mayor about that. It has been fun. I go camping a lot. I always try to leave the campsite better than when I left it, and I'm hoping that's what we do here in Fairmont. That's what I have done. My real legacy, the one thing I'm terribly, terribly excited about, is that this new generation knows the Opera House, and it knows the entertainment that comes in. In the last 11 years, we've had over 400,000 kids come through the door to see events.
Holy cow.
So it's been a good ride.
So you really have had a lot of people come through these doors, and you've built up a subscription series from nothing to what it is now, too, where it's almost packed every date.
It is. We have 500 seats here, and 460 of them are gone as part of the subscription series at this point in time. When I first arrived, we had 60, and there was no subscription series. We put that together in 6 months. It was kind of interesting. that the first show and the last show, Pavlo was my last official show, and the weather was kind of bad, and people were calling, are you still going to do it? It's like, of course we were. The very first show that I had scheduled at the Fairmont Opera House for the very first season was the lovely Leibowitz sisters, a good friend of mine, and they got snowed out. So I thought, well, there's an auspicious start for 11 years, but it worked out very well, so it's been fun.
And now you're going on, but you're staying in the industry. You're moving into another system, right?
I'm going back to the theater roots. I'm heading out to the Black Hills Playhouse in Custer State Park in South Dakota, and they do a 5-show summer season. It's going to be a blast. They're at a crossroads as well, and I'm looking forward to the future out there. It's one of the few places, theaters I know, that people, when you drive in, all the audience will be on one side because the buffalo is standing on the other side waiting for the doors to open.
Okay, well,
so it'll be fun.
So you're guaranteed a captive audience
at certain times. Yes,
that's good to know. That's good to know. So is there anything you would like to leave as a parting wisdom for the people of Fairmont, or for your predecessor that will take over here?
Arts are important and a very good thing for everyone.
And you've done a great job on building everything up here, and the entire community of Fairmont and the entire area owes you an incredible debt for helping bring the arts to Fairmont like you have in the past.
You know, and it's not me. Thank you very much for those kind words. But when I have the kids here, and I'm standing up on stage, and I look out at the audience and I say, who owns this opera house? 500 of them holler back, now we do. It's not mine. It's the community's. It is the people's. And it will be up to the citizens of this community to continue it and to make it grow and thrive. Because without people, it's just a rehearsal.
That's true. That's very true. Well, you played a big role in that, though, and I think the Opera House can continue to flourish with the right people and the right involvement from the community involved in it.
Hear, hear.
So, Mike, we wish you all the best of luck.
Thank
We're going to miss you. And you take
Man hug.
Man hug. Man hug.
Okay. Hit it again, man.
Hit it again, that's right. This is Mike Foster with Almost Breaking News, and back to you.
Well, there you have it. Well, you can count on those two guys to have it up and have a good time.
Absolutely.
Have a good time.
Yep, no fail with that one.
No doubt. So share with the folks kind of the outlook, the plan, where is the Opera House going? We learned about the history. We learned about what made it happen and what the goal was, which I feel, and I know most people do, that it has happened. Yeah. It has become what they wished it to be.
Exactly.
What is the future of the Opera House?
Yeah. Well, we want to continue building on that. We want to recognize where we've come from, where we continue to be, recognizing our history and moving forward. Right now we're doing a capital campaign fundraiser, and we're working on raising money, and thankfully for people like Marlon Milbrandt, who passed away and left 5 organizations in Fairmont $1 million apiece.
Incredible.
I mean, an incredible gift, and we were very fortunate to just be one of them. So with that, we kind of spurred this capital campaign forward, and with the hopes of raising $10 million. Now, it's a steep number, but it's scalable. Right now, we're at about $2.4 million. And the first thing we're going to do is make sure that we're financially stable for the long term. We're going to invest in our endowment. So we'll have $1 million sitting in our endowment that'll take care of us for a long time, years and years to come. The next thing we're going to do is invest in the building. So we want to make sure that the lights and the sound and the comfort and the security are all paramount. We want to bring the building to the industry standard, to make sure that it's the nicest, newest, most comfortable building that it can be inside. We're also going to do things with the roof, with some tuck pointing, and make sure that everything is really secure and well grounded with the foundation of the physical building as well. And then we have an interesting project next door. We recently purchased a lot directly to the south of the Opera House, and right now it's sitting vacant, and it may for a little while. But we have a proposed addition, and we want to make sure that we can serve you the best we can, the citizens of our region, the citizens of Fairmont. And when you come to a show, we want to make sure you're taken care of. We want to make sure that you can get in, you can have a drink, you can spend some time with your friends, you can make memories. And one of the ways that we would do that is to make sure that you can actually get into the show. So with this addition, we're hoping that we can add an elevator, some ADA accessible ramps and railings to make sure that everybody can get it. Because art isn't just for the privileged. Art isn't just for the highbrow, for the white collar. Art is for everybody. Experiences like this for everybody. The opportunity to make memories is for everybody. And if we're limiting ourselves to not allow people to come in, then we're limiting the fact that we can change people's lives and we can have them make memories in our facility. So we want to make sure that we can let you in, the people of our region, to make sure that you can have a good time at the Fairmont Opera House. So that's the long-term goal. And we'll get there. It'll take some time, but we'll definitely be able to facilitate the arts here in the community and make sure that everybody can get in and see the show that they want to see.
Well, and you know, when you talk about everybody, with the variety of what happens in the Opera House, there isn't something for every person.
No.
Age or
any age
or anything that they like is represented, from what I can see, in everything that happens in the Opera House, which is pretty darn.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I try to book to from 9 months to 99 years. Because it's something that everybody can enjoy, everybody can appreciate. And even if you don't think you'd like it, at least give it a try. Because if you don't like it, you've learned something about yourself. Hey, I like this sort of band. I like rock, or I like country, or I like dance. But I'm going to try this theater show. You might learn you either like it or you don't. But either way, you've learned something about yourself. You've grown as a person, you've developed as a person, and you've made our community better by doing so.
Sure. Well, and just like you just said, step out of your box and experience something and see what something is, that's different than the normal thing that you normally would watch. And like you said, you discover along the way, these are the kind of things that you now know that you didn't know before. Whether you like it or don't, you've had that experience.
That's
and you have an honest opinion about what it's like.
That's exactly right. It. Yeah. My grandpa told me once, he said, you can never change if you're comfortable. You have to be uncomfortable. Put yourself in a situation where you don't feel quite right, where something's maybe bubbling up in your stomach a little bit, that you're kind of uncertain. But no matter what you learn, good or bad, you've changed. And unless you are willing to be uncomfortable, to put yourself out there and try something new, you'll stay stagnant. And we want to make sure that we can help people learn and grow and develop through artistic experiences.
That is great advice. Great advice. From your grandfather.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, you know, Blake, this has been very interesting. I want to thank you for co-hosting today. We learned a lot about the Opera House from the past stories and what's happening today.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to ask you to come back.
Sounds good.
We'd love to have you come.
You know where to find me.
All right, yes, we do.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Well, there you have it. Wasn't that great?
That was interesting.
Very interesting. And you know what? I want to thank you for stopping by. We'll look forward to having you on the show.
I'll wait for the call.
All right. And we want to thank you, our viewers, for watching. And as we're sharing with you the sponsors that made our show possible, remember, it's not just the past, but the present that tells our story.